Hello, 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 and welcome to another One Line of Code. I am One Lion, and you are amazing. On this channel, we code. That's right, you said it, one line at a time. Okay, that was a little over the top. I'll calm down now. Anyway, hi TBD, welcome in. You indeed are first. You have resubbed for 14 months. It really doesn't feel like we've already been acquainted for over a year. That's insane. Awesome, though. Thank you so much for your continued support. I'm doing some weird stuff. Hey, this looks like what my house used to look like when I lived in Missouri. Where are we? We are looking out a window. I like how it always changes during our intro. We're looking out a window somewhere in Toronto, Canada in February of this year. That's crazy. Actually, this looks nothing like what it looked more similar when I saw it in smaller. Those birds are fake. When I saw it smaller, but you can actually see like city stuff in the backyard. So yeah, I lived way out in the boonies. It was crazy. Feels like just yesterday. Yes, it does. We're going to jump in. First of all, I just happened to have this open because I was working on it. Excuse me. Before I started the stream, because it's what I work on pretty much every morning. We are going to be working on RTRAC during the stream, but I don't know if you can see this because it's super small text, but this is down to 551 warnings. Most of which are still nullable type situations. And what I've been doing is just finding out whether the group itself is nullable, should be nullable, or if I need to supply something that is non-nullable. So in this case, I will take the nullable. Null group. Sure, even though this does absolutely nothing, has nothing to do with the group, what in the world are you even, why do I even have this? So a lot of the things that I have been finding are like, I cannot believe I wrote code that looks like this, and I am extremely ashamed. Very, very ashamed. Of this terrible, terrible looking code. Oh, come on. Excuse me. And then this, if group is not null, then invert the not. Whatever. Whatever. Are we done with this line? Are we done with this file? Good. Okay. So I just wanted to get this file cleaned up before I closed it and left it alone for the rest of the day. Oh. Check out my comments. They just keep saying more cleanup, and I have about 1,000 of these that say more cleanup for DDMS. But almost there. Once I'm done with this, and once we're done with RTRAC, maybe we'll be able to see the thing that I said I wanted to go over 2 weeks ago now, was that I wanted to see how Claude's library that it created for me I didn't really have too much of a hand in it, for DDMS. I guess just to show the part that I had Claude adapt, or he didn't even do this part. He just wrote a library. But here's DDMS. DDMS. This is what I'm trying to get at. And I really should have run it from Visual Studio just to test the current status of it, but that's fine. I am not a DTC member, so we're going to switch to hopefully an account login that does have DTC, Document Tracking Center, and it does. If I go to upload, what I can do is pick a file. Where are the fake documents? Man, since I changed things around, I don't know if I have fake documents anymore. I think I may have deleted my entire mock file store. Projects, DDMS. That's mock index. Apparently I still have that. Sample docs. Okay, this will work. And I pick a file. What it should do is search the current folder, the file location where all of the documents are stored, or check to see if there is an existing file there. Whoops. And that's what this will tell me. And also do a lookup in the database to see if there is already a document in the database for the file that I'm trying to upload. And it does that by matching the file name, and this is just an internal business rule that the file names must match the document number that they are trying to upload, blah, 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 blah. I don't like it, but it's kind of how it is. But although I think I did or had at least planned for the user to be able to select the file that this document is for, even if it's named something different, and in the upload process, it would rename the file to the document number. That said, this was checking our file store on an actual EC2 instance that is running on AWS. And what I need for this to do instead is use an S3 bucket that this server will have access to. And in order to do that, I need pretty much a library for being able to work with files on AWS, but specific to the DDMS application or even RMA applications. So Claude, I asked Claude to create the AWS S3 prototype. Do I have you on here? AWS. Yes. And then of course the other thing is when we search for documents, so I'm going to look for this document. We should have an image of that document. So if I click here, it'll give me the actual PDF for that document, along with an error apparently. The PDF for that document. And what else? I guess just making sure that we can search the documents, index them so that we can search them, list them. Oh, right. And then there's this thing that has to do with folder sets, which are related documents, which is probably going to error on me. Okay, so there are no other documents in this record set. And there is also a history. Is that what this is? No, this. There is a history of modifications to the record itself, but also to the document. So I'm thinking of adding a tab here so that we have the modifications to the database record, as well as modifications to the document, aka the file version history. And what we should be able to see from this prototype, provided I have the secrets set up on this machine, is a demo, a proof of concept, a prototype of a library that is able to connect to our S3, which it does. This is showing that. Give me the history of all of the files that have been uploaded. Let me do things like delete them or mark them as deleted. Because I'm doing soft deletes, the ability to restore. I don't know what this mark important is. I really don't remember a mark important feature. I don't even remember asking it to do that. Huh? I don't even remember seeing this at all before. Did you guys see this the last time that I showed this? Weird. Setting a current version as, or setting a previous version as the current, which all it does is it copies that version of the file into the same directory and overwrites the existing, which pushes the existing one into history, blah, 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 all of that fun stuff. And finally, if I am an admin, permanently deleting things. So if I wanted to permanently delete a history item, then I could do that as an admin. Or if I wanted to permanently delete a document from the entire server, I could do that. And of course, hiding and showing files, being able to upload files, all of that does work with this library. My next question is, I had it generate a whole bunch of documentation. Why are you on 7280? That's annoying. I had it generate a whole bunch of documentation for how to integrate this into, not the project structure, into a Blazor application. How do I use this in a Blazor application? So I'm going to step through this after I'm done cleaning up DDMS to use these instructions to add the AWS S3 service to the DDMS application, and then rig up my UI to use the S3 service to manipulate documents. Is that actually going to work? We're going to find out, but I really, really want to know if this actually is going to do what we want, because one thing that we have said together is that AI is really good at making stuff that looks like it should be well organized, well done, etc. But and no errors. The other thing that I made sure of is while I was copying the code over, that I kept my warnings and errors clean. Look at this. 0 errors and 0 warnings. All nullability stuff is taken care of. All variable names follow my variable naming convention. All initializers follow my initializer. It's not lacking in confidence, even when it's wrong. You're right, Marcus. And hello, DC Aggie. So I don't know if you saw, Marcus. I don't know if you came back after the crash yesterday, but I didn't realize that you put Frozen in chat until like maybe 5 to 10 minutes after I had been showing Vareth, and there was some external entity preventing me from showing you Vareth. Or it could just be, has anyone noticed when you are using an AI service, an AI application like ChatGPT, Gemini, Bing, Claude, any of the image generation ones, any of the music generation ones, any of the video generation ones, that when you are performing a request, it eats up your PC's resources. Like videos will stop streaming, or I don't know what else, just weird stuff like that. Genuinely interested in your experience with that. I think that there is some additional stuff that we're not told that the AI services, the online AI services, are doing utilizing our local resources. Kind of, I mean, like you wouldn't expect them to, unless they actually do disclose that, but you wouldn't expect them to. I don't expect people that use DDMS to know that we're using their local resources to iterate through a list or to hold all of this stuff in state when it's running in um, WASM mode, for example. But you would think that if it's going to be something that is like, yeah, each request mines just a tiny bit of Bitcoin, and that is what it feels like. It's just, is that even possible with the JavaScript sandbox browser web sandbox situation that's supposed to be happening with web applications? I don't know the answer to that. I'm just wondering if anyone else has experienced um, just random lag when they are, for example, watching a stream and then do a inference request. But anyway, one day you guys will meet Vareth. Apparently it wasn't going to be yesterday. So, yeah. Not really, other than my eye tracker crashing, but it does that anyway. So you can't really claim that it's, or not claim, but associate it. Draw conclusive conclusions that it's because of querying. Holy cow. What is epic stealth? I want to hear epic stealth. No, that's FM8. Try again. Try again. How do I go back? Oh, I'm so not used to using this. I know you guys can't see what I'm doing, but that's a good thing. Trust me. There we go. I wanted this one, but you're doing this weird thing. Well, fine then. We'll just do some booms. I think it's a memory thing because it does it when I debug. I'll have to, like, I never actually watched my resources to see if it was GPU or if it was actual RAM. But wouldn't it be crazy if the browser app would be able to access video memory and utilize video memory? I mean, it would save on cost in the long run for them. No, just checking. Okay. So anyway, yeah, so this is where I want to add the AWS S3 thing. I want to be able to see the version history for the file itself. I want to be able to replace the file, update, upload, download, all of the things to do with working with files, except instead of it being on a virtual disk connected to an EC2 instance, it'll be on an S3. So we'll get to that hopefully. But we're done with this. We're done with DDMS for now. Only 548 warnings to go. Some of them are going to stay because some of them are like declared variable is not actually used. Most of these will be cleaned up though. Are you really only at 548? Man, it's it's taken so much effort. And like this, I should be using a get string or get section, get value, string. So something like this instead. And then because we require these fields, then some of them should have null checks, some of them should not. But we'll get to that. It'll be fun. Okay, so where were we in RTRAC? Yesterday, just trying to have fun helped me, gave me a thought about the library that I was trying to get to work with multiple frameworks, and it wasn't generating a NuGet package. And they recommended that I add an attribute that says is packable. And when I do a .NET build on the solution, which is what I really wanted to do, it actually generates the NuGet packages now. So I did that. I updated the pipeline, or I reverted the pipeline is what I ended up doing. Oops, I don't want the actual run. I want to edit the, I did it again. Oh wait, that's not the actual run. So I reverted it back to this. I don't know why I have this PowerShell script. Right, because I was having so much trouble, so many troubles with getting the static web assets to also go, to also get packed. I tried a whole bunch of different things. One of them was starting with a PowerShell script that renamed the solution, moved it to a new location that was shorter path because it was getting some long path name errors. But we're not running that step anymore. So I just deleted it because I saw that it was successful and everything is running. We changed, the only change that I made to what it was doing before is that we're now using the .NET 9 SDK to do the build. And that's it. Everything else is exactly as it was before. Same package output path, same build configuration stuff. Didn't even need to do target framework stuff or anything. It's just building for both when it does .NET build. And the NuGet packages for each project are generated during that process. And it includes both the .NET 8 and .NET 9 libraries, which is awesome. I do need to verify that it does contain both. Oops, not Q, just save. And the way that I'm going to do that is we're going to look at the most recent successful run, see the artifacts for it, and this time instead of only saying one consumed, we see one published. And that one is specifically this folder, this top level folder. So we can see that we got all three projects as NuGet package with the -beta suffix, and then all three with NuGet package with the not -beta suffix, which is perfect. So I want to download, for example, Blazor server so that we can inspect it. Inspect her gadget. Excuse me, you said what? And I am going to, as I did before, 7-zip. What's that face? TBD. What is that face? We're going to open the NuGet package as a archive. Is that what you're called? As an archive, as a zip file, pretty much. And we're going to look inside of library. We're looking for .NET 8 and .NET 9. That's perfect. How do I go up a folder? How do I go back? How do I? Oh, wow, you would think that there would just be a, oh, there it is, an up a folder button. Good, 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 good. Okay, so that worked as expected. I created the NuGet, or not I created, this thing created the NuGet packages, and I allowed both of them, the -beta and the production version, to post to my artifacts feed. And so now we have an RMA identity, RMA Blazor auth. Which one are you? RMA Blazor auth. and they are all at version 9.0.1, which is spamtastic. I love spam. So then the next thing that I did, and by the way, now that I'm saying this, I am going to end the stream an hour earlier today than usual. And that's because I kept working on this after the stream and kept going until 2:30 my time, 14:30 my time, which was an hour after I normally end my workday. So I am going to take that hour today. Just to give you a heads up and situational awareness. Okay, so I uploaded not uploaded, I updated the NuGet package references to the latest version. This says 9.0.1, which is the version that we just saw was in the pipeline. Ampersand, I tried to build, and we got error. Copy the error here in my heart. Wait, it sounds terrible. Oh, hey Notepad, can I just get a? Oh wait, oh no, we were gonna try sticky notes, but they didn't resize very good, so we're just gonna use regular Notepad, so that I can put warnings and stuff up on the screen in a bigger size, so you can see it much better, or so he says. Okay, so the error that we're getting when we try to build is define static web assets endpoints. Failed, task failed. What even is define static web assets points? Anyway, it's probably part of the Blazor SDK or something. And that is because it could not find file Armit's Blazor auth server bundle SEP CSS, which doesn't make sense because it should exist, because our new spec says to copy over the bundled scoped CSS. So let's look for it in that archive. Let me just make sure it was supposed to be for Blazor server auth. Okay, it's for Blazor server auth, and we're going to follow this path. We have Blazor server 901, which would be this, static web assets. And in fact, we should go to the cache. My bad. Let's just go ahead and navigate to the folder on disk. Wow. It's there. To the cache. $20 for you. Oh dear. I was just trying to clear a notification from my phone and like 6 of them just showed up. You know what would be nice, dearest Google, who is always listening, even though we didn't invite you to, except that we did because we bought a phone that has Android on it, which is not explicit consent. Mother. Anyway, it would be cool if when a new notification comes in, it comes in at the bottom of your notifications list and not the top, because they have done such a good job with making it so that your phone doesn't show new notifications unless you're interacting with it for some applications. And those applications are typically the ones where if you tap on them, then you get some kind of advert. And so I'm trying to clear emails and stuff, and it just, instead it makes me click on something that has an ad or spam. Okay, anyway, done. So the bundled file is here, and there is some weird thing that I don't even know how to explain it because I don't fully understand it. But I do know that there is something about the Razor rendering engine that turns scope CSS files into a unique file so that we don't have to worry about cache as much. So if I build again, is it looking for the same file random characters? It is. Yeah, it's the bundling. So this is all of the isolated CSS files bundled together from the component library, the NuGet package component library. And I've never had a situation where I've needed to modify the new spec. In fact, I probably need to go to another library and find out what the generated new spec looks like when it's a Blazor component library. But right now, I think there's something wrong with the way that I'm copying over the bundled package. So the static web assets, which is here. Aha. So it's using this as the ID, but we need anything dot. Is that even a thing that I could do? Is that a thing that I could do in a new spec? Let's find out. Sorry, I'm listening to Finite at the same time. I need to turn him down a little, but Finite repeats himself a lot. He says the same words over and over. I try not to do that. I'm very conscious of it. I do say quite a bit, but I'm conscious of not repeating the same word over and over because I don't like doing it. But as I'm listening to him, I'm kind of taking on his cadence and and candor. Cantor? I don't know the word. The way that he talks. Okay. Can I use patterns here? I would Google this, but it's a lot easier for me in this moment to just try it. So .NET built. I put .NET built like it's already done. I'm just so used to manifesting. Why are you taking so long? Holy cow. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're gonna head over to the build directory, which should already be open. Somewhere over here. Which one are you? That's client. Must be you. You are server. Okay, so here is our Blazor server folder. This should be the new one that we just created today, 4:23 at 10:02 my time, 10:01 my time. We're going to open it as an archive. It is kind of fun that we do get to pick up on each other's. What? That we get to pick up on each other's speech patterns as a community. I like inheriting some of Irish John's speech patterns, some of TBD's, Finite's. Big gamies. Okay, this is odd. It's looking for in a specific, and that one is just my mom's. Static web assets, the bundle.sep.css, and for whatever reason, the thing that got generated, man, why are there so many on this screen? That can go away. That stays. And that stays. The thing that's showing in the archive Not you, you. No, not you, you. Is a subfolder now, after I added that asterisk, a subfolder that is the bundle.scp.css name with the file bundle.scp.css in there. DC Aggie says, good luck inheriting the rambling thoughts put to key. I subject y'all to. I don't know if I would be able to pick up that pattern. Like every now and then I'll be able to fall into I don't know. I don't really want to call you a country bumpkin, but speech that has been stereotyped as southern speech. With some y'all extra words you done know. It's like, well, huh? And the one that's most difficult for me is anyone that has extroverted intuition with their one one thought over here leads to a thought way over here that don't seem at all connected to my NI mind. And it's like, how do you go from that to that other thing so easily? Okay, so the change that I made to the new spec file caused it to create a subfolder with the static web assets. Some people I've met online before meeting in person have said things along the lines of, wow, you talk just like you write. Insult? Question mark? Probably. Not an insult. I, for one, am a fan of genuineness. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay, we're going to try another build. Oh, I wonder if it's going to let me with the archive open. I didn't think so. Whoops. Wait, no. It contains invalid characters. Yeah, that sucks. Okay, so it's in the target. It's in the computer. It's in the target. There's something that I need to be able to do to have it output to the right place. What if I just did star output to this folder? Let's try that. And again, I think because I have the archive open, it's going to be a locked files situation. TBD says, just like that. Was it close? Okay. So does anyone know how to make this thing always open to this menu? I don't like the shortened menu. And of course you can't see it because screen is too small, but where it opens with the shortcut things at the top, and then you have to click on show more options to get to the extra menu items like open with code and 7-zip stuff and just anything else that gets added to the context menu. And I use this much more often than I use the regular cut, copy, paste stuff. Wait, what? Okay, I'll be quiet. What am I? Why am I being? Wait, no. You said do not whisper. You get triggered. I'm sorry. I'm gonna summon the switch to Linuxers. But you shushed me, so I started talking quietly. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for those of you that get triggered by people whispering into a microphone. I said I wouldn't do it, not on purpose at least. TBD Googled it for me. Man, I'm sorry that I make you guys feel like you have to Google things for me. I really could just look it up myself, but I do appreciate it when you do. When I ask, what I mean to ask is, does anyone know off the top of their head? ASMR less stream. Yes, correct. Just ask AI. Yeah, but then I'm gonna run into the issue that I told you about where it's eating all of my resources and then the stream will disconnect. How about if I try to show you Vareth? Are we gonna freeze? Because that's what happened last time. I know stuff off the top of my head, but not this. Exactly. And so if you happen to know off the top of your head, then I would be happy to receive it. It's a registry edit. Okay, so it's undoable according to this, and everyone knows that you can trust any regedit commands that are randomly in vlogs, but this is directly on the Microsoft website. So we can trust it, right? 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 So you burn a forest every time you do. You know, I do have that on my mind all the time. I'm okay with using AI as far as I'm getting more okay with using AI as far as the implications of using it in a software development process, especially in a professional environment. I'm getting more comfortable with it. However, and I probably have to restart in order for this to take effect. I'm going to, is this permalinked? Do you have a permalink? Do these usually have permalinks? Probably not. So I'm gonna just save the page itself. Windows hacks. Because I want to be able to restore that context menu. Maybe I will want to, maybe I don't ever want to, but I still want the information for how to. Hello, Foolish Snubble. I have not backed up my registry again. I trust Microsoft explicitly. Oh no. Oh crap. Yeah. So as I thought, the error that I just now got when I did the .NET build is that the file was in use because I had it open because I already did a build, but I wanted to do a new build with this new pattern in here. President Not Sure was saying, although I should say today I don't know much off the top of my head about anything. And why is that? Why do you feel like that today? I want to know. Is it an actual concern that you have today specifically? Have you had this before? I don't know if you guys know about this, but I truly, truly do care very, very much about people's mental health and the condition that they're in. So if you do have something that you seriously want to discuss, then I am happy to discuss that with you in a way that you're comfortable with as well. And of course, I do my best to try to joke with you guys in the times when you are joking, but there are a lot of things that I don't want to treat as a joke, and mental health is one of them. Okay. So just hired today? Okay. Dr. K. Wait, no. Who is Dr. K? Just put out a video about software devs and mental health. Awesome. I want to watch it. Adiron, do you have a link for it? What a coinkydink. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I will watch that later. Thank you, thank you, thank you for that. Anything to help raise awareness and to help me be more receptive to viewers like you. President Not Sure is saying, I'm just also having to gear up for a discussion with the pharmacy, which is one of the truly worst things. So that's putting me in a sour mood. The best that I want to be able to offer you, and you can of course accept it if you want, and not accept it if you don't want, is some energy towards just being able to flow with it. This month, like in the next few weeks, we're going to be transitioning over to a time where doing is going to be easier. It's going to be more fluid. It's going to be a time to take action. But like right now, it is very much just flow, let and accept. Because, yeah, but May is going to be crazy in both good and bad, from what I understand. Dang, it's still only creating the bundle file. I wonder if it's this thing that will count. Why are you looking? Sorry. Um, I need to look at the other libraries. Um, but yeah, so there's definitely just like, and this is all esoteric talk. It could be out of my ass. I probably don't know what I'm talking about. The people that have mentioned this and agree with it are probably in league with each other. They're feeding off of each other. It's an echo chamber. Doesn't matter to me. It's what I've experienced so far. It has been truthful for me, and I've just witnessed it everywhere. So I'm agreeing with it, and it's been great. It's been very flowy for me, and things have been pretty smooth and nice. Other than like, I mean, you saw the bank account thing, the roofing thing, the just all the stuff that happened that I would probably have been out for a lot longer than I was. Oh, awesome. TBD's already watching the video. Man, you're getting me excited. Now I want to watch it now. But I got stuff to do. I'll watch it after the stream. Since I am going to end an hour early, I may as well use some of that time to watch that video. Don't get me excited. I'm already excited enough. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a look at the Blazor component library project, which I do have cloned. Recently got a leak in my roof fixed. Fixed. Kind of hard to test in the desert. Water hose. Just spray your roof for about 20 minutes straight. I am still like, man, I haven't done any of the research needed, but I am still planning on finding another um, roofing company to come and do an estimate and give me a second opinion. Because I don't know if I told you, but it was like the dude quoted me $28,000 in repairs for the roof. And my insurance, specifically for roof work, only covers or has a deductible of 3%. So I just upped my deductible to $5,000, and that's fine. It was $1,000 only, but I upped it to $5,000 so that I could save however much money that was on the $1,200 increase that they're trying to do because of California situations affecting whatever that BS was. Um, no, I am not stressed by that. See, I told you, I'm just flowing. Everything is fine. Anyway, so um they quoted me 28,000 and I did the math and the 3% is going to be the majority of that $28,000. So the majority of that's going to be out of pocket. If I were to go with them. And I'm like Broken shingles and replacing broken shingles cost $28,000. And they're not even broken shingles. It's like um, some of the pebbles and stuff got rubbed off, and I can't even prove or disprove that it was the person who um, went up to the roof to check on them that caused the damage. I can't prove or disprove that. Okay, rebuild. Somebody give me their NuGet package that has isolated CSS. Most of these, because of how long ago I created this component library, most of these use a compiled CSS file that you reference directly in your project. So I don't know that any of these have isolated CSS now that I'm thinking about it. What was I thinking? So we're going to make that happen. And then is there going to be an issue when none of my component or none of my libraries are targeting .NET 9 either? So much that I forgot to consider. Meow? Don't mind me, I'm just supplies. Okay, we're gonna create a toolbar button .razor.scss. And in there, I'm just going to create some random rule so that we can compile CSS. And then I am using web compiler extension to do my Sass to CSS. And that's it. And then we just try to build this, and we should get a NuGet package from this component specifically. It is dockable toolbar. It is found here. So we're going to navigate to that. Think. And we're going to see what the truck is going on. What the, no. Oh, I still want to restart so that I don't have to do this. Okay. We can see what the static web assets folder looks like. Interesting. Thank you so much for the follow. Really, really appreciate you. I don't normally shout out the people's names that follow in case you want to stay anonymous and just lurk or whatever, but you are absolutely welcome to chat. Content. Wait, no. Content files? So number one question is, why didn't that generate something to do with the scoped CSS that is now introduced into this library? And what even is this? There's like extra stuff that wasn't there before. So these are the static web assets that are specific to the www root folder, but where is armits blazor.dockable toolbar.bundle.scp.css? You have a search function? Oh, duh. We don't need to search. Let's just extract. We can search the folder directly. Mirror. Come with me. Let's go, LETSGO. Folder, unpacked new package files. Pasta, you there? Okay, we are going to, why does that say a long time ago? This file did not get overwritten. Aha, aha. Let's try that again. Build. Interesting, it's still 4.0.0. That's my fault. I mean, of course it's my fault. Whose fault would it be otherwise? We're looking for static web assets, and it is there, and it does have the bundle ID, the random cache, so that if you are updating your NuGet package and people have already been to the site, then they will know that there is no file that is named whatever it used to use. And this has a new file name, therefore it gets a new cache entry and it gets downloaded and stuff. So what does your new spec look like? Where did I find the new specs? I think I found that in the obj folder. There it is. How do you handle static web assets? Notepad. Where did I put you? Notepad. Group files include any. Yeah, so question 1 is, should I add this to my manual new spec? Last time I had it in here, I think it said that there are 2 versions of the same file trying to be output to the same place. No, that's fine. Okay, good. We're going to keep that then. So that's one thing that I want to keep. That's surprising. I was not expecting that. Okay. Then tell me about. Oh no, all of the document files oh, they're there. Okay. So the document files are there. We only need one compiler config. So we're doing that only once. But we're going to do output to both. So let's move you down into the .NET 9 section, do a build. Nope, I need to do a .NET build. Am I frozen again? Okay. Now I'm all paranoid. I have no idea when the stream is going to freeze, especially if I say the name Vareth. Frozen? No? Okay. Okay, what else do we have? You know what? Now that I have the is packable, do I really need the new spec file anymore? What happens if? What happens if I don't use the new spec file? I forgot why I needed to have the new spec file for this component library. I'm sure it had something to do with the static web assets and such. using .newspec to prevent output of transitive and tool DLLs. But that shouldn't happen in release, right? Because it was specifically the debug files. Um, is that you? That's you. I like this better. What do we have in our library? First package, right? Package. No, not package. Okay, what do we have in our library folder? No transitive dependencies. Right. The whole reason that I was doing this was because we were getting DLLs that kept showing up in the projects that were using this library. That's exactly what it was. But look at this. It looks clean. It looks fine. The static web assets showed up correctly. I'm not seeing any of those additional DLLs in the package. Well, I'm happy about that. Let's do a push. Crap. I'm in a library. I'm in a branch that should be deleted because I merged and deleted the branch. Whoops. Conflicts to resolve. Modified in bold. We don't care anymore because we're not keeping this file. I'm just going to copy this. We're going to accept this, but we're going to delete the file in the long run. Delete. Okay. Do you still build? I need to pull main. Conflicts. Unsuccessful because we're currently in the middle of a merge. So, I remember what we did, so I'm not worried about it. We're going to undo all changes. I'm going to capture the current version of the new spec file. Undo change. We're going to pull all changes from main. We're going to head back to that branch that was deleted. We're going to reapply those changes. You there? Getting rid of this because I think the is packable was the only thing that I needed this whole entire time. So thank you. Just trying to have fun. That was even more helpful. So I am really glad that I stuck around for the extra amount of time yesterday. I've mentioned this before, but I struggle sticking around when it feels like it's just people trying to delay me from stopping the stream. But when it's someone that's trying to help me, I really don't want to abuse their generosity with actually trying to be helpful. Okay. Updated NuGet package definition something. I don't know. I don't got good words for this. I'm sure ChatGPT could come up with some good words. Save and commit. We need to bump the versions since there is already a 9.0.1. And I do that in my directory.build.props. Changing 9.0.2. I really didn't see that there was a version selector in .NET Pack because I don't use .NET Pack in the build pipeline, but there is a way to set the version using that, and I'm sure there's a way to automate that easier. I saw another approach for setting this that I ended up not liking. That involved you setting the version number in the build itself, which doesn't really work for when you do an automatic build based on a PR. And then the other one that I would like to learn about, see if there's a way to do it, would be to tag a branch and then have that be the thing that does the build and release pipeline. And then use the tag. Okay, anyway, version bump, commit and push. We're gonna go and do a PR as we have done. Not in DDMS. Is this it? Yeah, armits. We'll see if I broke the pipeline by doing this. Pull request, compare. So for those of you wondering, I'm sure many of you have heard this before, but for any of you that happen to be new here, I do still work in branches and pull requests, even though I am a solo developer, just so that I can stay on top of doing that. Also, there have been times when doing a pull request does kind of draw my attention to some things that I might have missed. So that is also helpful. Updated, new get. Hello, McNets. Package approach. How are you on this fantastic Thursday, aka Friday Eve? Right, right, right. I need to go to this and this and this. Do I say goodbye? No. Microsoft should hire graphic designers. In what regard? I mean, for what aspects? Because I I'm okay with the iconography that they're using. Which parts do you think they need help with in the DevOps portal, for example? Besides, we're going to have Liquid Sky soon. I've reached out to some people on Fiverr for help with Liquid Sky on that. Awesome. Awesome. So shout out to TBD Gamer. He is a streamer. I'm sure the majority of you know that, but TBD Gamer is a .NET developer working on an application called Liquid Sky on Tuesday through Thursday. And it is a project management and planning application. You can see the description there, but just a brief overview. It is what I am going to call, from my own opinion, from my own words, a better version, a more organized version of current offerings such as Jira or Azure DevOps. And then he also is making developers.stream, which is an application that will allow you to see developers who stream and just find them easier. that's how I'm going to leave that one. There's a description there. But if you are curious about it, he streams developers.stream on Mondays and Fridays. However, tomorrow he might not be able to stream because he has a prior engagement planned, but is not sure whether he's going or not. I would, if I had the option, I would opt not to. Although that's a lie. I would probably opt to go to that kind of a social event just because of the obligation that comes with it. Ooh, it built successfully. One lion, two lion. Candy's here. Dukasoft is here. Dukasoft is the best non-bot bot. We'll do some shout outs some more here in a second once it times out. I also like pancakes. You guys are going to IHOP, I take it then. Or Waffle House or what's the other place that my parents used to love to take us? Village Inn? Is that a place? Deflux is here. Waffles. Waffles. I'm trying to download the artifacts for this that this generated. DBD Duka 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 Duka. Sorry, there's a long ooh on Duka. And also high deflex with the Sedelex wave. There's a local place that does a really good stack of pancakes with fruit. Yum. Yum. So if you do go, I hope you enjoy it to the maximum amount and that it is worth it. Yeah, let's go here. Where did I put that folder? I missed me bun just for the pancakes over there. Pancakes. Pancake des. 9.0.2, yes. And we're going to observe this as an archive. Okay, so if we look in the static web assets, we got the right bundle folder. That is done. Let's go back to RTRAC. Yes, so shout out T. Williams is here. Shout out to Canny, or you're probably here often. T. Williams is speaking, is decided to chat today. When I played Hogwarts Legacy, which was really fun, I was sorted into Waffle House. Panda cakes. Okay, RTRAC, I'm excited. I'm excited. RTRACing. I gotta stop that. NuGet package manager, we're gonna update our Armits Blazor auth packages. We're gonna update our oh, I didn't actually do a release. So if like, again, I'm trying to keep this in mind. This is more for me than you. So if I repeat myself way too much, I really do apologize if it's annoying, but I'm practicing for myself. The reason that I have in my build pipeline, I have it generate a beta version of the NuGet package and a non-beta version of the NuGet package. These would all be essentially release candidates, is because the approach that I would take would be to only push the beta packages to our artifacts feed for that to be tested in the applications before pushing the production version. That way we only have production version packages in use. So if this one ever failed, what I should be doing is turning on pre-release, and we'll see the dash beta version for Armits Blazor client, server, and shared. No, shared does not create its own NuGet package because these two both reference it. Never mind. We would upgrade to the beta version, test it out, make sure it works in the application still. Then, and only then, would we go in to the release pipeline and say, everything is tested, it worked, we're going to approve the release. Otherwise, we would say the release is rejected, blah needs to be fixed before we can do this. And so we would get multiple release candidates before the final approval of the production version. Okay, so with that, the release doesn't take very long. It's just copying the new package files into our artifacts area. Oh yeah, so I missed a few comments from Snobble regarding DevOps Portal. They sure have many graphics designers. And then TBD said his thing about Liquid Sky. I talked about Liquid Sky. Candy came in. We talked about pancakes for a bit. Deflex came in. Talked about waffles for a bit. Talked about Hogwarts Legacy. I really enjoyed Hogwarts Legacy. In fact, Hogwarts Legacy broke me because I pushed circle after, like, when I'm playing Final Fantasy 16, which has not been often. I've only put like 20-ish hours into that game, and I've had it for over a year. Or I started it over a year ago. Anyway, when I play it, after I'm done doing an attack, I push circle to... It's just, and then I also push, what is it, down or up? Up, I think. I push up on the D-pad to do things. And those buttons do other things in Final Fantasy. Anyway, so we shouted out Canny. I'm going to shout out Dukasoft now, which I usually do closer to the end of the stream, but man, Dukasoft is amazing. He streams drone footage, takes his own footage, flies his drone out around his area. It's a beautiful area. Does some editing, adds some music, has a great time on his stream when he is able to. The actor, Simon Pegg, does the voice of the headmaster. I don't know Simon Pegg. Just look him up real quick so that I can see a picture. Oh, yes, I know Simon Pegg. So he's the headmaster. Interesting. I think I ended up 100%ing Hogwarts Legacy, which I don't do very much on games, just all of them. Artifacts feed. We are here because we were waiting for it to finish. We undid the include pre-release, and we are taking the most recent production release. Dukesoft is Simon Pegg? Yes. Yes. Shaun of the Dead is a great movie, says TBD Gamer. Almost. Wrong, Simon. Yes. Dukesoft is actually Simon Belmont. Get it straight. Shaun of the Dead is one of my fave movies, says Snobble. Oh, and some other things that Snobble said. I have now cleaned my keyboard. Amazing! Okay, look at this. No build warnings or messages or errors yet. Here's a build. We are using the Armit's Blazor auth library in a .NET 9 application, which it failed on before because of conflicting Blazor WebAssembly server stuff. And we got a successful build. Run the app. Can we actually log in? No! Why would you do this? Ensure map static assets is called before add interactive render mode. Okay, we can do that. Let me copy this message to the notepad so I can make it bigger. Make it bigger. Make it bigger. Nope, wrong one. Let's go over here. So that means that I do not have to maintain my own new spec file anymore, all because the is packable property. Gonna have to remember that. Okay, So Shaun of the Dead, great movie. Almost Wrong Simon. Shaun of the Dead is one of my fave movies. T. Williams said there were so many side effects I felt like I had ADHD. Attention deficit. Hey, donuts. What is that in reference to? McNett said they translate it as zombies party here. Pathetic. Shaun of the Dead? They translate it as zombies party? Huh? ADHD smiles. Okay, here is the error that I just got, which is map static assets. Add interactive should be called before add interactive WebAssembly render mode. So let's go into our CS proj for the application. Sorry, our program.cs for the application. Find where interactive WebAssembly map static assets is nowhere to be found. What are you? Map static assets. Is that supposed to be called on the service builder or on the app host? On app, okay. And it just needs to happen before even map. So let's see if that fixes anything. I have a feeling that there was another error that I saw after it that's going to be an issue. Edit and continue is unavailable. I don't care. We aren't trying to use edit and continue. You there. Yeah, you. Okay, so this, oh man, this is still the same error that I got for targeting a .NET 9 application when using this library. Zombie Party Shaun dead. So yes, they absolutely did. Call it Zombies Party. And the parenthetical of it is Shaun of the Dead. And so what country? Llega un momento en la vida de todo. I can't really read that because it's too small. Llega un momento en la vida de todo hombre en el que ha de levantarse del sillón y matar unos zombies. There comes a time in a man's life when he needs to get up and, from his chair and kill some zombies. Is that a quote from the movie or something? Una noche de muerte. Night of the Dead. How fun. Where are you, McNets? Are you in España? Cool. So I still don't understand how they can translate Shaun of the Dead to Zombies Party. Shaun de la Muerte. Shaun de la Moridada? Mori. I don't know. I don't know what that would be. I'm not super fluent in Spanish. I can understand it pretty fluently, but yeah. Everything must be translated and doubled. Okay. There is no method. Big Gamey's here. Thank you so much for that. I've been trying to talk a little louder. I did leave it up because I am hopeful. You know what? I bet you I know what it is. Are you the right port number? Oh, it is the right port number. we're going to say that it's still the LLM. Yes, it's a black screen because I went to the archery bot because Big Gamey wants me to get the archery bot working instead of doing my job. I did enable it. I did turn the redeem back on because I was hopeful that it would just work. Secret live stream. Secret live stream. That's what we are. Let's see. According to the log, we didn't even see the redeem for archery again. So yeah, I really think that at least from what I can tell, it is no longer working with pub sub. We should see the commands and stuff appear. Uh, okay. So yeah, man, I was so hopeful for it too. It was gonna work. We'll stay on black screen for just a minute longer while I go here, uncheck the U. Okay, we're back. So I need to figure out what's going on with this. This one I am going to Google this time. Make it so. Oh, wait, no, I got a bad feeling about this, is what he said. I've got the worst feeling about this. I want to figure out what exactly this means. This method does not have an implementation in SQL Server 8.0.11. We should not be using SQL Server 8.0.11. That's the main issue here. So why, oh why, did she have to leave and go away? Today's a very musical day. Void star star, got some unsaved code in there? Not me. This is not my code. This is library code. I don't even see where void star star is. Yes, I do. It's right here. Entity framework, where are you? Scooby-Doo. 9. Okay. Is there a transitive dependency? Oh, wait, what? Installed, please. I only want to see installed. Is there a transitive dependency on Entity Framework 8? Yes. Not even a transitive. Oh wait, no, this is transitive. I only have Entity Framework Core in transitive on oh, I'm checking the wrong one. Let's check shared server. Okay, here's our Entity Framework Core references. In shared server, we are referencing 9.0.4, 8.0.0. Yeah, I do like this. I think this was a great decision here. So yes, we are transitively dependent on Entity Framework Core 8.0.11, but where? But why? The thing that would be even more helpful is if it told me where this transitive dependency is coming from. But anyway, the way that we can fix this is we should just be able to install the newer version of Entity Framework Core SQL Server. Directly to this library, and it should take precedence. He says confidently. So here we go. We're doing it. Okay, rebuild. What did I do with the console? I put you here. Are you even going to stay here when I rebuild? Yes, yes, it will. And it's going to overwrite the buffer. No errors. Yes, I think that was successful. I think we have a working .NET 9 project with the Armits Blazor auth library. So I am testing it out. I am logging in. The Armits Blazor auth library now works with .NET 8 and .NET 9. And that means RTRAC is now targeting .NET 9. And we'll be able to target .NET 10 in the future. Because now I know how to multi-target with my library, and it's going to be as easy as adding the next .NET version. Yes, thank you, Dukesoft. Very, very exciting. Okay, so let's do some commits. Yeah, all of those. So update to target.net. So I'm going to do it as a local commit for now because we have more work to do. All right, where were we even? We finished all of the locations that were dependent on the lab picker, I think. As far as for intermediate role. So let's switch back to intermediate role. So everywhere that gave us a list of items that depends on the selected lab should be working as expected now. Good. So speaking of needing a graphics designer, pick Amy. I really, really want to enable that for you. I really just want to do work today. I don't want to play with the bot today. I hope that's okay. Feels bad, man. We'll try to get the archery bot working tomorrow. How's that? During community day. Archer Lee, Archer Lee, Archer Lee. So Dukesoft says it's not okay for me to do that. Right. Okay. So this one should have had them as well. Good, good, good. Unload TRNs. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so one of the things that we needed to test was whether this functionality does work. And it does not. There is an error. So we're going to do this next after I'm done going through the rest of the screens. Unload. We should get a response. This is going to be our response object. And I am going to put that somewhere for us to reference here in a second or 12. Jason Grid. You there? Is Umberto your name? Yes, it is. You pronounced it so well. My name. Monenomen. Where's my github.com/oneline? This is my full name. Humberto Cruz Ojola Jr. Junior is, I always pronounce junior in English when I say my full name in Spanish. Junior. Junior. Junito. And if you want, you can call me Junito. I go by many, many, many names. It's kind of weird. I had an uncle that was also a junior, and we called him Theo Junior for I have no idea how long. Like, isn't there usually a time in a person's life when they start going by their actual first name instead of by Junior or Junito, their childhood name? Ooh. Okay, so we have our response model. I'm still going through a few more screens that should have TRNs. This was a major one that we got working very, very nicely. Awesome. Don't mind the UI if you can. Try to ignore all of the UI issues. We will definitely address them. Given that the original RTRAC, which I love to show because I love hearing your, what is that? Welcome to the 90s comments. And I mean that for real. I'm not joking about that because I feel the same. Like, I was super proud of this screen. Like, it was on purpose, but also it was the best that I could do at the time. We usually use the diminutive of the first name instead of junior. Yeah, so like my brothers, Raficito, and I guess my parents just called him Alexis, my oldest brother. I don't know if my oldest brother ever had an Ito name. But yeah, this is what the application currently looks like. The one that is in production and in use. This is that record check page, which is this page here. So all that I did was I applied my standard Blazor template for all of the RMA applications and updated the content to have all of the menu items in it. That's about it. I didn't really go through each page and try to style them yet, but we definitely will. Archive final data. Final data. Cool. So this page is still working as expected. Methods, which we'll get to, add to archive. Like, the thing that I care about the most is whether or not the functionality is working. And then we can make it pretty. And by pretty, I mean it's not really going to be all that pretty. There's just no TSP data. Okay. We haven't used TSP in I don't know how long. So I I don't even know if we should keep this. The old app is web forms. It started off as JSP and then I took it to MVC. So it never went through web forms. Oh no. Oh no, I missed one. Biota. Yeah, so the biotas I missed. How? How's that even possible? That's not a thing. And are you really loading? No, you errored. Okay, so we got to get the biota ones working. And in order to do that, we're going to use an existing one like the records check page to find out what all we did. I think there were two major places. One was the filtered TRNs, where we added the lab constraint. And the other was in the UI itself. Oh, no, there were three. There was a onlabs loaded event callback that we needed to subscribe and unsubscribe from. I'm going to try to update an old web forms app using Copilot agents. If you are successful at that, I could use some pointers. I tried using Copilot workspaces with Visual Studio Code, and I just ran into a lot of issues. Like admittedly, I was trying to do too much with it. I showed earlier at the beginning of the stream that DDMS has a whole bunch of warnings for nullability stuff because when I created DDMS, it was the first Blazor application that I had moved over, and I was converting it from VB.NET WinForms to a Blazor app. So there was a lot of that's where that came from. There was a lot of weirdness because sometimes I would do copy the VB code and then come over to the new Blazor app, right click and convert to C sharp and then do some edits there. So that kind of makes me feel a little better, but terrible for not double checking my work. Anyway, so this thing started off with over 5,000 warnings that were all about nullability checks because I turned nullability enable on. So I added this because I wanted to clean it up and find all the places where I'm not doing proper nullability checks and guards and everything like that. So that's what I've been doing in the mornings and on my non-streaming days for the past 2 or 3 weeks. I'm almost done. I'm down to 500, but who was it? Sir. It was Sir that told me this. I'm sorry, I don't have any Sirs. It was Sir Blacksoul that mentioned Copilot Workspace. I'm not a good Blazor developer. Well, you can remove Blazor too. Remove Blazor? I'm not removing Blazor. I love Blazor. But Sir Blacksoul told me about GitHub Copilot Workspaces, so then I tried it that day in the evenings. You could always make it pretty ugly. I could. Um, something words, sentences that I completely forgot, but something to do with I was trying to get Copilot Workspaces to review all of my nullability warnings and provide updates to the null checks. The very first one was anything that says private whatever object type, whatever variable name equals null. So I have a few places where I am explicitly starting with a null value. Project. That's equals null. Oh, well, that was one. Yeah, let's just go back to this. So like in this parameter, I am purposefully asking for or allowing for a optional parameter that is nullable because I am defaulting it to null, but I didn't originally have the null question mark in there. So I was just asking it to find those instances and make them nullable. Just put the question mark in there and that's it. And it did a pretty good job of identifying a bunch of them. But as I was going through the implementation plan, it just kept giving me failed to sync with the whatever, failed to sync with the branch. And so I clicked the button and then it would kind of look like it worked and then kind of look like it didn't. And then it was like, you're no longer syncing. You need to reclone. Do you want to discard your changes or stash them? And I'm like, that's just going to do everything anyway. And then it's going to not synchronize. So I think that there's just something that I'm doing wrong with the way that I was using it that I could use some pointers on using it better. I'm about to get an early retirement, says McNets, so I can spend the last months trying to update it. Jeez. It's optional. I get it. Yeah, option null. I totally intended that to be a pun. Like, man, you're the only one that got it too. Okay. We were looking at, I mean, I keep telling you guys, I already feel like I'm in early retirement and doing the thing that I want to do when I retire, which is do software development. Where are your manners, automated realms? Oh, so if you couldn't tell, I am running the bot locally and automated realms locally. So um, it's going to be a faster response. Feel free to enjoy that. Say please, as you wish, Diggersoft. Nice. I'm also doing what I want to do when I retire. Smoking bacon. I don't know what that means. Like, are you actually making smoked pork? Because that sounds tasty. But if you are making a drug reference, please don't. Okay, yes. Bacon in a smoker. Awesome. Awesome. Biota. Okay, so that's the controller. We don't want the controller. We want the UI for Biota. Does anyone know where the UI is for Biota? What is your page? Create file. That's absolutely Biota. A lot of these page names come from the original JSP application, which got turned into MVC. So I didn't do a very good job of like updating too much of it. I'm just copying over the UI and stuff. You either love bacon or you're wrong. True. Hold on. Hold on. This does not look like Spanish to me. Is that supposed to be an enya? Or is it actually an ene? It's Catalan. Okay. A quina edad et pots jubilar? At what age can you get retired? So technically, technically I can retire at any age. You can choose to not work. It might make things a little difficult for your financial situation because drawing from your retirement fund super early is you get a lot of penalties for that. So if you mean at what age can you retire and be able to draw from your retirement fund without penalty, it's gotten so much older now. It's like late 60s, early 70s. It's crazy. It used to be like 54 or 56. And then it was like early 60s, 62. And now it keeps getting later and later. 67 for young people here. Young people. It's a race. By the time we get there, it's going to be 88. Exactly. It's crazy. It's like when you start your retirement fund, that's when the retirement age should get locked in for you specifically. So if you start contributing to an IRA, to a 401k or whatever, the retirement age for you should be locked in at that point. Agree to disagree, but I understand. 65 for the last ones. And in fact, there's just this entire issue with money anyway, so I just not go there. Once I hit 88, you're going to see some serious stuff. Again, I have no problem with cursing, but there are people that don't want to hear it. So I didn't say it out loud. Type whatever you want. Be mindful. Okay. We are going to just copy over some code from here. Dukasoft, cursing all over the place. 63 early retirement if the company agrees with it. If you have contributed for at least 38 years. Yeah, so now that you're saying things like this, I remember doing the codified rules for calculating retirement when I worked in HR. And I wrote a lot of macros, VBA macros, for doing things like calculating retirement age, early retirement, and then for every employee, how much percentage decrease they would get from early retirement based off of retiring now versus retiring in another 3-4 years or whatever it is. Oh, Back to the Future. So again, I'm not the greatest at quotes, but definitely feel free to keep using them. So I'm trying to grab the logic from here for this in specific. Now you got my talking like my mommy coming out. Get lab lot list is populating which of these variables? Underscore biotas. Great. So we need the entire filter TRN, which is going to use biotas. Underscore biotas. I will turn my attention to chat after I finish updating this component, but please feel free to keep typing. Type away. We need the UI to use this variable wherever we're using biotas. Are you nullable? You are nullable. But we are checking for is null first. Then we are checking for was error, which means that by the time we get here, biotas is not null. Why are we checking for response return object when underscore biotas? Oh, I don't know. I don't know what response return object has anything to do with this. Again, you are not nullable by this point. You are not nullable by this point. I'm doing so many null checks when there don't need to be any, and then I'm not doing null checks where I need to be doing null checks. So if u equals 0, then we put no records found. Otherwise, we show the select list, which why aren't you giving me syntax highlighting? Because I am missing a parenthesis somewhere probably. Anyone? Anyone? No? Your mom? I don't know. We're just going to leave it for now. So the other thing that I needed was this event that we need to subscribe to, which is on labs loaded. And the reason that I am doing this here is because if the user is loading the application on this page, then it's possible it's going to go through the entire on initialized and do the get lab lots, but it's the state is not initialized and the services are not ready for us to be able to get a lab, get the list of labs based off of the user's selected lab. So we need to do that again on labs loaded. On labs loaded only ever gets called once when the application loads. So we don't have to worry about this happening twice in a row or anything. And finally, we need to dissubscribe from it, which this is not implementing iDisposable. Great. Great job, Pasberto. Nope. Public void dispose GC suppress. None of you guys get disposed. It's the unsubscribe. Why aren't you automatically unsubscribing from this? You should know user state, all of these. Get unsubscribed. Thanks. Okay, let's test it out. Make sure that it works. And then I'll get back to chat. Na, 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 na. No! or just get some errors. Because filter TRNs is our list of TRNs. So this was supposed to be biota, biotas. Yeah, biotas. Is that how it looks in record check? TRNs is actually a response model? It is. Uh-huh. Okay, can you do the thing, please, Rosalind compiler? You know, the one where you update and you give me some syntax highlighting and... Yeah, what I don't get is why are we doing request response here? What even is request response? Biota supple details response model. And where does this get populated? Down here, when we're submitting. What does that have to do with displaying the current biota files? We are displaying the current biota files if we are not currently displaying the results. What? You should, oh man, where's my syntax highlighting? Okay, back to chat. We were having a conversation about retiring. T. Williams pointed me to that the 88 comment had to do with Back to the Future. And Dukesoft says, I've contributed for 4 years now at age 41, probably never be able to retire. You should be able to one day. Dukesoft says, oh my gosh, didn't even see that. Love those movies. To T. Williams. Then Deflex says, yeah, the USA ain't so bad. In order to get the max benefit in Japan, Norway, Sweden, you need to retire at 75. Yeah, that's crazy. By you need, do you mean you have to? Yeah, yeah. So McNets wants to know. Like, I don't really care for this, but McNets wants to know, do you have to in order to get retire? That's funny. Says Snubble. In order to get the full benefits. Like, is it the same thing as it is in the US where we have our, if you retire and start withdrawing from your retirement fund before a certain age, then you get a decreased benefits? Yeah. Okay. So it is just like that. Same situation where we have our, if you retire and, or it's not if you retire before a certain age, it's if you start drawing from your retirement fund before a certain age, then you get reduced benefits. Um, so in Japan, Norway, and Sweden, apparently it is age 75. Ow. Okay. All right. You win. Why aren't you giving me syntax highlighting? Not again. Not Aiden again. RTRAC. So what I'm doing is closing and reopening the solution because, yeah, Magnets is like restart Visual Studio. It's exactly what I'm doing. I should have a warning on this because filtered TRNs is nullable. There we go. Good job, you. Look at you. Aren't you so pretty? Okay. So I really don't know why this check is here though. If we submitted a file request, I think is what this is telling us, then don't display this or something. And items is allowed to be nullable. That's cool. Okay. So we're changing this to if not is, and the reason that I'm doing if not is something with count greater than 0 is because it's a lot easier to read and understand, because I still honestly don't know what this would look like without the not in front. My assumption is something along the lines of if filter TRNs is not something, but then does that also invert this where we say count is equal to 0? Or is this not actually negating, not negating this? But anyway, because I have to ask that every time, it just makes more sense for me to put the not here. And McNetz just doesn't like the not operator. Well, do you not like the not operator, or do you not like the null forgiveness operator where you're telling this that TRNs is not null by this point? Scott is here. Nice to see Blazer. Deflex says, to be precise, I think in Norway and Japan, they say you have to keep working to get max benefit, but I live in neither, so I also do not care. The not operator. Okay, interesting. You would prefer to have all of your if statements be in the positive form. Unfortunately, that's not always possible. Like in this case, I'm only checking to see if filtered TRNs is null or has a count that is equal to 0. And ugh, ugh, equals false. Oh, you wound me. I mean, you're allowed to have that preference. I'm just letting you know that I really don't like comparing a conditional to true or false. Something that's going to evaluate to true or false, if it's used in an if statement or to assign a Boolean variable, I cannot do that. That hurts. And it's not to ostracize you for that. You are definitely allowed to have that preference. You're allowed to. You are getting some pretty strong feedback on that. In this case, this is not an IEnumerable, so it would be faster to compare count. Yeah, you are not wrong. It's just our preference. The reason that I'm using count here is because count is going to be faster for lists and materialized collections. But if this was an IEnumerable, then I would definitely use .any, question mark .any. Oh, my heart. But yeah, you got a lot of strong opinions back on that, but please, please, please do not take offense to that. We accept you. You are loved. You are welcome here. You're allowed to have your preference. You can use null conditional. Yeah, so I could, in this case, use if question mark dot count is equal to 0. But again, from my readability standpoint, what Scott just wrote. I honestly don't know what this means personally, and I'm the one that has to maintain this code. And it is entirely possible that someone else that inherits this code base wouldn't understand that this means filter trns is an instantiated object with count greater than 0. It could be entirely possible, but I just find this easier to read. I don't know if this is going to say, because I want this to be true when filter trns is null and when dot count equals 0. So this is shorthand for if filter trns is null or filter trns dot count is equal to 0. That's what I want to represent here. Oh, it's the opposite. Exactly. So this is what I want to represent. Which, of course, this is the most readable way to write it, so I could just write it like this every time. Yeah, so what Fullest Novel said, I get a bit confused what null equals 0 would result in. Correct. Is that true or false? So then the other way that I used to write this, not in this case, I want it when it's either null or when filter trns.count is 0. Specifically for representing this line. Any other thoughts on this? Which could, in theory, create garbage collector pressure for creating an IEnumerable? Absolutely. But do you really create an IEnumerable? The thing that I would hazard against with IEnumerables is to know where you are materializing them. Because I'm okay with IEnumerables. Absolutely, I love IEnumerables, but use them in my own personal rule of thumb is to use them only when I know I am going to access them, materialize them seldomly. Yeah. Exactly. And so that's why the preference, if you already have a materialized list, is to use .count. Well, I almost smashed my bottle's lid into my face. Oh man, I think I made McNets run. I'm sorry, McNets. Okay, question mark dot any. I never make collections nullable. That's another thing. DDMS, I don't know if you saw, but is a massive application that has tons and tons of lists of stuff. And the way that I originally wrote it was to initialize all of my my models so that if they had a list of something, those would be initialized to an empty collection. With as many of those individual objects get created, the number of properties on those objects, and this is all code smell. This is all because it's written poorly on my part. But all of those initializing all of their collections to an empty collection had so much performance impact. So much performance impact. Yeah, definitely. So I like it. I mean, initializing them as empty collections. Yeah. But like in this case, let's analyze then filtered TRNs. This is going to impact every single one of those pages where you saw a list of this thing, a list of these. These are called lab lots or TRNs. The filtered TRNs here, what I could do is make it non-nullable and always initialize it to an empty collection. Yes? And I would do this on every single page, which means that the only thing I would be checking for here is if filter trns.count is equal to 0. The issue is, how many times does this page get rendered? Not many, so it wouldn't be that bad. This would only need to happen once when the actual response model gives us back a response. And so this would only get evaluated 2, maybe 3 times at most. But you should be like, but Berto, aren't you doing a read-only property that you're doing a get for this? And so every single time the page renders, doesn't it need to reevaluate this when you're accessing filtered TRNs? And the answer, my friend, is yes, you're absolutely right. We need to consider that. I didn't think of that. You thought of it. You pointed me to it. So for now, just to be consistent, we can change this later. Yes. Okay. So that is the syntax I used to use, Scott. But because of you, who turned me on to the property accessor checking to see if a variable is an instance of something, I love this syntax. So it's not, I don't feel forced to use it. I feel compelled to use it because I absolutely love this syntax more. I don't know if it's performance impact. Is it worse than doing filter trns question mark dot count and then defaulting this to 0, which has the exact same meaning of what we're trying to do? Is this faster? Maybe. I just like how this looks more. And another thing that I found this while working through DDMS, because DDMS still has a ton of this. This is not an actual null check. The compiler doesn't treat it as an actual null check. So if I were to try to say if filter trns question mark dot count, defaulting that to 0 if filter trns is null, is greater than 0, that should technically mean filter trns is not null, correct? But if I try to access filter trns dot count, it gives me a null check warning, dereferencing a possibly null reference, which I was extremely surprised at, because this is a null check that confirms that filter trns cannot be null at this point. But if we use this syntax, then it is a null check. And then this goes away. Oh, wait. Get rid of the not in front of that. Then this is a valid null check. And then the null reference warning goes away. It was like, what? They mean exactly the same thing. So they should evaluate to both indicate that filter TRNs is not null by the time we use it here. So anyway, that was another reason that I decided to stick with this too. Not only do I like how it looks, but it also is a valid null check recognized by the compiler. Okay, Snubble is saying what? I missed a whole bunch of stuff up here. Okay, so trying to understand the square brackets. Can it be changed to new? Oh, okay, so square brackets. I will tell you square brackets in a second. And okay, up here. When it comes in performance, for most of us, we just have to avoid the most stupid performance traps. True. Normal code tend to do well enough. True. So I don't consider it too often, but in DDMS, I absolutely did see performance issues when I initialized the list of variables for all of my POCOs. It's crazy. But if you see the POCOs, you'll be like, those shouldn't even exist. And that's on me. We'll get them fixed though. I agree. Oh, so this was in Snobble in response to Scott saying I never make collections nullable, but I would, since I'm an F# guy where you typically don't do nulls, you do empty values. Yeah, so that's why Snubble agrees with Scott. McNett says, I like it. I mean, initializing them as empty collections. Yes, question mark. Talked about performance, normal code, if filter trns question mark dot count, trying to understand the square bracket notation. So I'll tell you about that here in 20 seconds if you have already gotten a good response from everyone else. But it is more than just a list. It is more than just a list. So I want to make sure that we give you a more complete definition of it, at least from my perspective, from what I understand of it. But square brackets work for all collections, yes. And I think, but not sure, that they try to ensure a single empty collection. Yes, correct. I'm never concerned about speed anymore when doing such things as this. Yeah. But again, when it does actually have a noticeable difference on displaying a table, a UI to a user, or getting search results, for example, going to the server, getting search results, and it returns an object that is a list of a whole bunch of other objects. And because the lists are initialized, even though they're empty, they are still getting serialized as JSON. Put into Godbolt and see what comes out. I don't know what Godbolt is, if there is a difference, but it doesn't matter the small performance difference for 99%. Well, there are holes in null checker. Yeah, there are holes in the null checker. For example, XS. Yes. Oh man, I really cannot stand that. Snubble is pointing out one where if you're looking through a collection and you're saying, I want my list of, I don't know, lab lots from filter trns dot or this is not going to work. We're going to force it to be non-null. Don't use exclamation points unless you absolutely are sure. Where x dot, where not string is null or white space even. Not string is null, not string is null or white space, null or empty, whatever. Lab lot display, which it never is. Let's just do labs then. Dot select lab distinct. If I were to try to access an individual lab, actually, no. If we inspect the inferred type of lab lots, we're going to see it is a list of nullable string. When we are clearly saying we don't want to include any strings that are null. So Snobble is pointing out that you're getting, and like if I were to access it here, sort by that string dot length, we get a null dereference of possible null reference warning. When we said we're not even getting a single, if I move it here, we're not getting a single. That is what you have to do. And we shouldn't have to. So that would be a place where you would correctly use a null forgiveness operator. But we shouldn't have to, because the null check is here on all of the items. Yeah, Snow says, but I don't want to. We shouldn't have to. I do this. I personally do this, and I'm okay with doing it, but it's just odd. That's all. Hello, Napalm. We're having great discussions about C# syntax, nullability, and collections. So Dukesoft, if you're paying attention, which you don't have to be, collection initialization. We were at the point where we're like, let's make this non-nullable. And if it happens to be null by the time we get here, initialize the collection to an empty set. So that's what this syntax here says. This is a collection initializer. If this happened to be a dictionary of whatever, then it would initialize it to a new collection of dictionary, whatever type we put. If this was a whatever other kind of collection, then this would initialize it to the empty list of that collection. Let's say this was an IEnumerable of some type. Then what this should translate to is, because you can't do new here, because it wouldn't know what kind of collection to create for an IEnumerable. Is it a list? Is it a hash set? Is it a something else? Is it just a regular collection? Is it whatever? You can't initialize the IEnumerable, but you can use the collection initializer, which would essentially use regular enumerable of lists of blah blah items. Sorry. Dot empty. So that collection initializer, I don't know what the syntax is. Is it IEnumerable? Oh, no. It's enumerable dot empty of that type. Sorry. So it would know what method to use to create for you that empty collection, even if you're targeting an IEnumerable. So I really like using the collection initializer syntax. In fact, yeah, because empty array kind of situation. In fact, what I like to do, which you might be brave enough to do yourself, but if you find an instance where the IDE is recommending that you use collection expressions, you could apply it to the entire solution in one go. And then it'll show you all the places that it's going to apply it to. All methods return object. Yes. Welcome to JavaScript. What happened to the music? How long has the music not been going? When I hear the music, null all the things. I will go with the hot take more null. Thank you for contributing. But it is tricky as the not null proof has to be carried across, where to select nullness proofs are not encoded in types. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I followed what you meant where with this lambda expression. But the thing is, when you do the where, the return type from that where is an I. It's just an IEnumerable, isn't it? When you're doing link to objects. It is a I. Yeah, it's just an IEnumerable. But anyway, since it's just an IEnumerable, if you're doing where something is not null, even if you're not doing a select on it, because you're going to inherently select whatever the base type is, that it should be able to pass to the next lambda expression the correct nullability on the type, shouldn't it? Now you can use filter trns.any. Still, well, I mean, if it was IEnumerable, yes. Yeah. I could. But I'm keeping it as a list just to stay consistent. We can revisit this though. We can definitely revisit this. All of the other places that I'm doing this currently use a list of labla item to get that. But yes, I could have turned that to question.any at that point in time. I think this actually requires a list, so I would also need to do even more stuff for it. Please use your favorite flavor. Definitely. Again, this was written a long time ago, more than 3 years ago. Or not really written. This was written in 2008, I think we saw. The original application that I brought over to MVC. Then in 2017, 2018 was the time period that I was moving all of the applications over from JSP to MVC. There were a million applications, so I took a lot of shortcuts, lots of copy pasta, lots of lift and shift type of situations. Then in 2022, before I left the organization to go work somewhere else, I started the process of converting this application to Blazor, apparently. Yeah, written pre-AI and post-AI. Exactly. Snell was saying, and especially since you have tested the nested member lab, but I made an extension method like something like this. Not null. That'd be a perfect one. That should be in the library. That should be in the library. That should be official. Have you tried submitting a PR for that? Because I think that would be beneficial. Okay, Tyron, wait, but of course .NET is amazing. I have to have a not null for value types. Yeah, so not null value. You could still have it be an override on your method where your predicate is referencing a value type versus a reference type. So a predicate of, I don't know how you would do it. Predicate of T, where T is a class. But then how would you do that on interfaces? Predicate of function of bool. Of T comma bool, right? But you would need to know the member that's being accessed. I see what you're saying. Okay. But you could still do it in the method body where it determines if the member that you're accessing is a value type, then use a .has value. If it's not, then you compare it to null. But yeah, Tyrant says we're going to start. Oh, I already read that. We're going to start referring to written pre-AI and post-AI. It is going to happen. You're right. Okay, that was a lot of time on that, man. As mentioned earlier, I am going to stop an hour early because yesterday I did continue working. It was a success. I still want to thank, just want to, I've been saying your name correctly this whole time. Just here to have fun. Just want to have fun. Anyway, the person who helped me yesterday. I mean, all of you help me all the time, so I really appreciate you all, but specifically yesterday, the person that gave me the is packable property that I forgot to put in the CS proj, that's what got it working. I didn't even need the new spec file anymore after that. Okay, we're gonna test this, I hope. if the application even runs anymore. And then hopefully we're going to be able to tackle this in the last 30 minutes, but I still need to go through the rest of the UI, see if there are any of these lists that are dependent on the selected lab. Are you going to give me any errors, dear sir or madman? I will cut you. That's what I thought. And this is really weird. It's like it starts by using my given name until it authorizes, and suddenly it's using my username. I don't get it. Okay, biota, create. None for TT, none for EF, and some for there should be some for AR. What happened? What happened? Okay, what happens if I get rid of this just to show the entire list all the time? Hot reload? Hey, hot reload. I can't believe it. Oh, right. And there was a ton of changes that we made to the actual UI. So apparently I changed the behavior of the UI by correcting it. Create. When did I close the actual Blazor component? That's weird. Okay, so I started telling this thing to use biotas when previously there are no changes there. So we did a we got rid of the null forgiveness operator here because we're null checking biotas up there. Then we were checking if biotas.return object, which is what's being used to populate filtered TRNs. Then we're using biotas.return object, which is what's being used to populate filtered TRNs, biotas.return object. Oh, I'm missing a state has changed for one. And that's it. Those are the only changes that we made. So it's not like I made massive updates. Yeah, that makes no sense. Okay, I think I forgot a state has changed in the get lab lot list. No, incorrect. Handle active role changed. Yeah, so for now, we're going to async void this. I'm sorry, what? You're purposefully doing that? You jerk. We just had a long conversation about better coding practices. What are you doing now? We'll just do a regular status change then. The thing is that this is being triggered by an event call. If that event happens to be on a different thread than the UI thread, this is going to crash. And what my, the way that I will fix this, because I do want this to switch to the UI thread to make sure that we are on the UI thread by using invoke async, is that I will make the event itself a func of task, a func of app role comma task. Func of task of app role? No, this is the in variable. Yeah, so func of app role task. Get the funk out of here, says Napalm. Are you sure about that one, though, Scott? Most likely. I mean, You wouldn't have said it if you weren't sure. I just don't know that it is, because user state happens on the, like, if the server finishes the authorization, if we're running in Blazor server finishes the authorization on a different thread than the UI thread and calls user state dot onActive role changed. So user state dot onActive role dot invoke a sync. Drink water. Yes. Thank you, Dukasoft, for the recommendation to drink water. It is entirely possible that this could be called from a different thread. If you do use any await before state is changed, well, yes. I mean, that's what I was saying. Like, if I wanted to make sure that we were on the UI thread when this gets called, I would use await invoke async state is changed. But this invoke invocation, I was like, why is that broken? But this leads to a situation where I am doing an async void, which is not good practice. And so I would, if it didn't require so much changing of the rest of the files at this particular point in time, I would just change this to a func of app role task. And therefore my callback could be a task, in which case I would just turn. But that breaks everything. How many of them are there? Could I just do this now? Yeah, there's a lot of them. Okay, so that's a thought. Here is my question about that, and maybe you have a good answer for this, because I sure don't. When you create an anonymous function as your event handler, which, I mean, this is going to be the exact same thing. This is going to end up being an async void. This doesn't change it from being async void to async task. So this is just as bad in my opinion. But regardless, you brought up a point. How are you writing it? Just await. Oh, if I had this as a, okay, let me make this as a task. Like so, and await it. Yeah, it's still not good because it's making it an async task. And that cannot be used for an action of. But here's the question though. I've watched some videos on this, and this is why I'm asking. When you use an anonymous function, let's just make this work again. And let's say that the only thing we wanted it to do was, and picture that this is actually some involved method. The only thing that we wanted to do, that was probably the issue the whole time. Imagine this did more or took more parameters than just the app role, and we couldn't just tell it to use this method as the callback directly. Let's say we needed bool do other things. When we are in our dispose and we try to unsubscribe from this anonymous function, are we really removing this from the, I don't know what it's called, the event stack, the list of events that must be invoked? Are we properly unsubscribing? Because if this is an anonymous function, we aren't necessarily getting the same reference that we created up here. And you're saying yes. Do you have any information that does back that up, or is this just based on experience? Which based on experience is completely okay. This isn't an anonymous function? Maybe I'm using the improper terminology. This is not a direct assignment of this method to this event. Instead, we are creating a new function ad hoc. And since this is a new function, it'd be like saying var a equals new cancellation token source. This is how I'm thinking of it. Then later on, you're saying new cancellation token source dot dispose. Or in another way of putting it, maybe cancellation token source a arrows new cancellation token source, and you're saying a dot dispose, where this is actually going to evaluate as a new cancellation token source, and you're not necessarily referencing the same object. That's kind of how it lines up in my head. But if you're saying that what the compiler does in this case is that it creates the same reference here that it does down here when you're unsubscribing, that is exactly what this is, though. This is shorthand for that. Just because I didn't make it a body expression doesn't mean that it's not actually under the hood creating a full method. Like we could do public void some thing. I don't know. I'm terrible at Duke a thing. What am I thinking? Variables are easy. Method names, variable names, they're easy. They're super easy. You could write something like this. Handle active role changed, whatever. And so this, I guess it would be a task. This is exactly the same. Well, no, I want a void. Give me void. Give me this method again. Dang it. I love this discussion, by the way. I hope I don't come across as being angry or argumentative. This is a great discussion. I'm learning from you, and I want to get this straight in my head. Okay, this is one way to write a method. That's this syntax here, shorthand. This is just inline. That's why I'm calling it anonymous, because it's not actually declared anywhere other than there. And this is not the same declaration as this. In my head, and from what I remember from talks that had to do with event registrations. And I'd have to find it too to be able to prove that. Which I can do if you're wanting me to cite my sources as well. But this can also be written as just this with a method body. They're the same exact thing to the compiler, I think. Maybe they're handled differently. To my knowledge, they are the same thing to the compiler. I don't mean to be. I just want to make sure that I am not getting it incorrect. I'm not giving incorrect information. It was Dan Roth. it was a Dan Roth talk on probably Blazor from .NET 5. Because you know they always do demos that are not great. So yeah, subscribing to an event like this and then trying to unsubscribe from it, you're not really unsubscribing this exact event. Okay. Undo, 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 undo. Okay, and that's why in most cases I opt to turn this into a func of task. Lambda subscribes. Yeah, it is an anonymous method and it won't be unsubscribed properly. Oh, that's cool. I mean, I'm glad we sorted it out. I definitely hope you don't feel like I'm trying to tell you that you are wrong and I need to be right or anything. I really, if I was incorrect and you were able to show me, that's good. That's good. But what are you unsubbing then? You can unsub anything you want. So if I had another method in here that was never subscribed, like so, I could unsubscribe if I wanted to. No issues. It'll just try to, and I don't know how it does the lookup, how it does the registration, but it'll try to find us in that list of events that it needs to fire when it does the .invoke. And if it can't find it in there, it's like, you're already unsubscribed. No harm, no foul. The other thing that I have, that wouldn't work in this case. The other thing that I've liked was if you have a thing that implements iDisposable, which this one doesn't, okay. iDisposable, and you know that you're only going to use this in a certain context, in a certain, what are they called? Scope. You could just set all of your events to null, and that way everything that was subscribed to it is now unsubscribed. But since user state is dependency injected scoped, then this isn't going to ever happen until the app closes down, until you shut down the app or that session, sorry. You could use an instance method or a delegate instance like var. Yeah, exactly. Yes. So those I know about. And again, in that case, I don't like delegates. I don't even like event action. Oh. It's almost always this for me now because I want to be able to have asynchronous callbacks. So a func that returns a task. And even then, another thing that I didn't realize was a thing. So like on labs loaded, let's say this is labs loaded. We can do, I think, I don't remember for sure. We can do notify labs loaded dot invoke async. Can we? No, not notify labs loaded. On labs loaded, we can do invoke async. No? Okay, I lied. There was something that I saw in DDMS when I was changing things over that if you declared the event as a func of task, you could do invoke async. It was weird. Yeah, so an action only takes only has a dot invoke. Event callback does, but you can only subscribe one thing to event callbacks, if I'm not mistaken about that. But I could have sworn that I saw an invoke async on an event func of task. Wait, is it because it's nullable? Okay, so no, still no invoke async. That would have been cool. That would have been cool. I still don't like this approach either, where if you're going to use the asynchronous version, it's just going to wrap the synchronous version in a task. I don't even know why I have these. I don't even reference these. I don't use them. It was some pattern that I saw somewhere that I liked and I kept them, but I just don't use them. Yeah, I don't like task.run either. So I think I'm just gonna do it this way. I wasn't referencing them, so I deleted them. That's an easy thing to do. The other thing that you can tell from this that I am doing very differently lately is that all of my state classes, the things that hold information so that I can transfer from one page to another and be able to give different pages different information, or have multiple components in the same UI all read from the same variables and stuff, is that I use interfaces for everything. So I should have an iUser state, because if I'm going to test state and the methods in that state, I'm going to want to be able to fake some of the things and change things out. But in this, I don't have that at the moment. It's just an indication of how far I've gone in, what, 3 years? How many changes I have made to my programming practices. Thanks to you guys. And it really is, and I mean this in all honesty, a credit to you for sticking with me and teaching me all of these things, like taking time out of your day to help me understand these things, give me some tips and practices. I would never have this if I wasn't streaming. So thank you, and also thank you. And did I mention thank you? Scott, it's okay. We're just learning from our AI companions. Be confidently wrong. Marcus went live. So we are stopping in about 10 minutes. I do want to take a look at that, or I want to look at the rest of the pages. Wait, we're still stuck on the current page, but we will raid Marcus Voice Coder. If you've never seen a stream from Marcus Voice Coder, it is really cool. He does all of his navigation, all of his oh, he's gaming. Man, but he also games using his voice too. I don't like rating gamers, but man, I want to support Marcus. He also is a developer. I personally don't like watching games being played while I'm either doing creative things or working. While I'm cooking, I watched Let's Play videos of things like, this is kind of crazy because it feels the same to me. They did such a good job with the show, but The Last of Us, I watched Let's Plays of The Last of Us and The Last of Us 2. Yeah. Sorcery Story is currently going. She usually ends her stream in about an hour, so I just don't want to make her feel like she needs to stay. I usually rate her, and then she's like, oh, I was just about to end my stream, but I'll stay. But anyway, I just tend not to watch people play games when I'm in a creative space. When I'm writing the story, when I'm doing music, when I am programming, I just don't watch people play games. I watched a playthrough of The samurai game. That was kind of like Sekiro. I'm blanking on names of stuff. And it's so weird because it looks like people are playing games when they're doing the game dev, but there's enough pausing and jumping into code that it just feels like I'm being productive alongside someone else. Yeah, we have a lot of people that we can choose from. Clay is still going. Canny started. Looks like it's Oik is going as well. Bardaki. Oh man, we are spoiled for choice. So I'll let you guys decide, but again, we're gonna do that in about 5 more minutes, but I wanna figure this page out. I am still gonna lurk on Marcus's channel because I wanna support him. And it's really cool. I mean, he's doing everything using voice. Rate them all. I can only choose one target. I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay, what does the page currently look like? What's going on? We are getting no records at all. I didn't make that many changes. But we did see records on here before, right? Question man? Maybe there were no records on here. I'm imagining things. If I were to query for AR records, yeah, we should be getting some records. We should be getting 2 records displayed. One Lion is also online. He's even doing Blazor. Yeah, I love watching app devs. I love being able to program alongside other application developers. There's just a certain energy that comes off. Okay. So it's obviously not the filter. Oh, duh. There is no status on these. What do we have for status? Final. There is no status check. That was easy. And also dumb. And also easy. I tend to not get anything done when watching other devs. Aw. Yeah, I just do the thing where if I feel like I'm getting overly distracted, take my headphones off, do the thing that I'm trying to do, focus on it, get it done, put my headphones back on. Okay, I was trying to go back to the page, and there they are. Okay, and if we switch to something else and something else. All right, so we implemented that change. It's working the same as all of the other pages. We still have the edit biota page, which should just be the exact same changes. So I'm just gonna copy pasta real quick for edit biota. I love me some pasta. In fact, I'm having pasta today for dinner. Me too, says McNuts. Oh, no, not to the pasta. It's just the part about tending not to get stuff done. I had toast today. Toast. Buttered toast? It's the only thing from SpongeBob that I know. Wait, or was that Ed, Edd and Eddy? That might be Ed, Edd and Eddy. Oh, great. Okay, filter tier ends. Disubscribe from it down at the bottom. does not implement iDisposable. All of these things that I just didn't do back in the day because I didn't know better. Implement. Do the thing. Again, I'm just going to copy pasta because this had the cancellation token stuff. Unsubscribe and the GC suppress finalize. So if you're doing your own dispose method, calling GC suppress finalize, I think is the recommended action. You could just do a full dispose method, which also involves, stop. We'll reload after we're done. Which also involves a Boolean backing variable for whether or not it's disposing. And that way you do a full protection. And that's if you have unmanaged sources. I never implement a finalizer. Me either. I only use the iDisposable, but you could, if you wanted to, create your finalizer, which is something like tilde class name. I honestly have never used it, so I don't know how it works or what it does or why you would need to. I did learn on Irish John's stream because he was asking about what this syntax was, and I looked it up, and there was some statement about you can't be guaranteed that the destructor, the finalizer, the whatever you want to call it, gets called. It's not always going to be the case that it gets called, and it's also not guaranteed to be called at a specific point in time if it is called. So pretty much only if you're doing unmanaged resources should you care about that or use it. To my knowledge, I could be completely wrong still. We're done with that, so let's just verify that it works. Run. Nope, we're not done with it. I forgot the UI port. My heart. Edit. Loading, please wait. No records found. Yep, it's all the same. Oh, except for edit lab lot request dot lab lot. Save that. Rerun. Okay, this is the last thing that we're doing for now. Just verifying that this works, maybe checking the lots data page, and that'll be it. And we're calling it a day. Did anyone pick a single raid target? And it's working. Good. View biota. Cool. So we choose from there. Yeah, there was nothing in lots data. Method data is failing to return. Cool. So we are on our way to being able to get the functionality up and running. I guess the other thing that I forgot to check is, are there menus in these? Yeah, so finalize TRN. Dang it. Wait. Finalize TRN. Okay, so finalize TRN has the same issue. Summon them. No, it doesn't. These need loaders. The thing that's happening is we are not getting the updated values right away. So there's a little delay, which makes it look like it's not working, but it is. So we need loaders. Biota finalize. Biota finalize, which I'll probably do today after I end the stream. Okay, so Deflux wants us to go to a new streamer because Deflux is an advocate for new streamers. I am not currently following them, nor am I on their channel. I mean, I say new streamer, new to me streamers. They are Unity developer and currently working on Godot. Didn't you say they were a Unity developer? But anyway, it doesn't matter. They are Godot developer. Do you even know the people that you want us to raid? He gets confused sometimes. She used to stream more. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm gonna commit these later. I'll write I'll have Copilot write my commit message. But I'll go to the ending screen and read chat to catch up. Shouldn't be too much. So McNet's recognized the destructor symbol or syntax or whatever it's called. Snobble says adding a finalizer makes creating an object about 100 times slower, and it will take longer to garbage collect. Yes, that is what I think as well. Finalizer only for unmanaged resources, which I seldomly do. You can't dispose other .NET objects in the finalizer either, so it's tricky stuff. That's crazy. Also note my comment about finalizer and performance impact is old knowledge, so it might not be relevant anymore. Thank you for qualifying that. DC Aggie said, when people tell you that you can request scope IDB connection using AutoFac in web forms, they're wrong. Connection pooling will hate this and punish you. I'm sorry, DC Aggie. I think they're learning. TBD says he gets confused sometimes. Yeah, she used to stream more. And hello, Kenji. Kenji Wild Goose, welcome in. So you just missed the stream. You can definitely watch it back if you're interested in it, or join us tomorrow for Community Day. I normally stream for about an hour longer than now, but yesterday I worked an hour longer, so I'm going to take that time back for myself today. Yeah. Welcome in. Thank you for joining us. We are about to raid a streamer named Midori Hukumi and Hukami. And they are a Godot developer. Are they speaking French though? Oh no. Okay, someone was just... I was like, oh la la. Okay, so we're gonna raid Midori Hukumi. Ack. Why ack? All right. Did I do it? Is that her? Yes. Okay. So that's it for today. We're done with our dev streams for the week. Tomorrow is Community Day. Sin Ak. We're done with, we're going to have Community Day tomorrow. Community Days are days where I focus on you guys, and we have discussions surrounding whatever topics are currently coming up. Lately, they have been topics surrounding AI, the ethics of AI, the ethics of using AI. Something that was brought up today that's very important that I feel often is when I use AI, I'm thinking about the energy that gets used to run the LLMs. And is it really efficient use of that? Is it something we should be doing with it? So anyway, your opinions are very welcome on streams like Community Day. Your opinions are typically welcome, but conversations are very welcome that are not related to the things that I'm working on Community Days. And also, I think we will be working on the bot as well, try to get the archery game working, but that might require getting event sub working. So who knows? Shout out to Bardaki, amazing game developer working in Unity, working on a game called The Unwanted War. Definitely check him out. Yeah. Okay, bye.